Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage International Monetary Fund Managing Director and 2011 Global Citizen Award recipient, Christine Lagarde.
Buonasera. He dresses like a Brit. He utters a few words. He doesn't use his body language. He doesn't drive fast cars. Yet, he's the quintessential Italian. Ciao Mario. Non ti preoccupare. Non sono Jens Weidmann. Sono tua amiga. It is my great pleasure tonight to introduce a long-standing friend and colleague of mine, Mario Draghi. If I was to count in Eurogroup meeting times, I think we would have known each other for decades. Everybody knows about your distinguished career and accomplishment. Those who don't can actually read the little book that you found under your plate. My great pleasure tonight is to actually highlight some of the qualities you have, which are well known to most of you. And I hope you don't mind me being generous tonight. I promise to do the same with Janet Yellen. Mario, you're a man of vision, courage, and determination. The global financial crisis left us grappling with challenges, and difficult times require a sound vision and leadership. And through the challenges that Europe has gone through in the last few years, from the sovereign debt crisis to Greece to now the refugees, I don't know that many characters who have showed so much vision and so much determination. During the 4 years you have presided over the European Central Bank, you have done everything in your power to uphold Europe, to uphold its unity, and defend the stability of its currency. You've used your influence to move the euro area in the right direction, the direction of stability. You're a man of courage as well, and I don't know that there are so many people around the world who can actually move markets just using words, as you have done. It was July 2012, London, the Olympic Games. You uttered what would later be deemed the 3 most successful words in central banking history. I was there sitting at the front row. You were going through a speech, interesting of course. And suddenly you paused and you said, I quote, "The ECB is ready to do whatever it takes to preserve the euro, and believe me, it will be enough." I can still to this day remember the silence followed by the humming, puffing, and wondering. And you finished your speech. You left the room. I followed you because we had a small bilateral meeting, the two of us. Your direct report came rushing and said, President, you're moving markets." You just turned back and you said, "Really?" Well, within 3 months, sovereign bond yields had declined by more than 130 basis points for the euro area, and by up to 500 basis points for some of the more stressed economies. And all of that without firing any of your bazookas. You also are a man of determination. For when you did actually fire your bazooka, despite what had been much talked about and written about, you still managed to surprise the world when in January you launched that program. Mastering so the art of central banking, which says, go big or go home. Your job at the helm of the ECB is bound to be one of the most difficult in the world. And it is no surprise that you have been identified as one of the true leaders of the world. This year's Fortune's second most influential person, and among the top 5 most influential policymakers by Bloomberg for 4 years in a row. I have to say, if you were a woman, and if I was Angela Merkel, I think I would worry a bit. Yet, with all the complexities and the intricacies of your job, you never lose sight of neither your sense of humor nor your sense of humanity. When we were together not long ago in Ankara, Turkey, and we saw at the same time that photo of this little boy drowned on the sand of boredom, you were the first one to raise your voice, go public, and remind us of our duty to humanity and our individual responsibility. For that, Mario, you're not just a fantastic central banker, a true European who has taken Europe forward and given it a sense of direction, a sense of stability, and certainly substituted many other things that would have been needed, will continue to be needed. For that, you're just not a great European, you are also clearly a citizen of the globe. We thank you.
Well, thanks, Christine. Your words too kind. Let me thank the Atlantic Institute for many reasons, one of which is that here I am tonight with all of you, and especially friends and colleagues of a lifetime. So it's simply fantastic to be given this honor and be with you. But let me also thank the Atlantic Institute for honoring, through me, all those who have worked and continue to work to maintain the cohesion of the European Union and to bring its integration process closer to completion. The fate of Europe is obviously of immediate interest to its citizens, but it's also of immediate interest to all of us, to you and to the rest of the world. Now, one reason for this large interest that Europe has in the world is obviously due to the size of Europe. Even though we have to say that the euro area especially hasn't made a major contribution to growth over the past 7 or 8 years, nonetheless accounts for about 17–18% of the world GDP, and about the same for global trade. So, when the integrity of the euro is under threat, so is growth globally. Christine, who's chaired many IMF gatherings, where the first topic under discussion was the euro area, can testify to that. And I had to go through several of these meetings where the culprit, the villain of the narrative was the Eurozone. Hopefully, it won't be this way this year. So now the euro area is returning to growth, and some of this is due to our monetary policy, and that's good news for everybody. But there is another perhaps deeper reason why the euro area is crucially relevant for the global economy. And it comes from the fact that European integration is by far the most advanced experiment in managing issues that cut across borders through a combination of international and supranational arrangements. 65 years ago, the founders of the European Union decided that we could only achieve results if we were united in facing common problems. At that time, the common problem was to make sure that our continent, my continent, would live in peace forever. And it worked. But now, the nature of the many challenges we face shows how right this approach fundamentally was, how, say, prophetical. Think of migrants seeking refuge in our countries. Think about the threat of terrorism. Think about the consequences of climate change. Think about the recent succession of financial and economic crises. And these challenges are obviously global. They're not specific to Europe. So now, how would one go coping with these challenges on its own? Countries that have a size, by and large, less than an average American state. How would they go about coping with these challenges on their own? In this sense, the method that we put in place 65 years ago was prophetical. It may seem at times that we in Europe are not able to cope with these challenges, but we do. Each and every time, in the end, we prevail. And why is that? Because of what I said. Because we work as a union. We can address problems that would overwhelm us if each country tries to address them alone. What we always say is that there is not an alternative. To regain sovereignty over global problems, we have to share sovereignty. It may be difficult, Dr. Kissinger, Henry, but so far we succeeded. Not as fast as probably everybody else would like, not as fast as I would like, but we did succeed. And here there is another element on which I would draw your attention. Sometimes what seems to be a difficulty of working together is simply a reflection of the difficulty of overcoming the challenges thrown in our way. And we should not mistake the one for the other. These are difficult problems for everybody. We decided to cope with these problems together. And often the two things are mixed. Many argue that our societies are not homogeneous enough to operate as a union. But others would argue that further integration is the only necessary route to extract all the power, all the economies of scale that our union brings. You wouldn't be surprised to know that I'm firmly in this second camp. And I'm firmly among those who believe that we can better protect the interests of the citizens in every country by making our union, to use a phrase taken from your constitutional tradition, to make our union more perfect. The progress achieved over the past 3 years to stabilize and strengthen the euro area is real. Growth is returning. And we will not rest until our monetary union is complete. It's in our interest. It's also in your interest. It's in the interest of everybody, everywhere. Thank you. Thank you.